Dan, do you think Democrats are going to oppose him like, 48, 47 opposed?
Yep, I sure do. I mean, we talked the last few days. When would you pick a fight? I'd pick a fight on this one because for everything that Sean just said, right, it is the pantheon of bureaucracy. And if this guy is being picked to go in there and fulfill every grievance against military generals who have spoken out, Mark, to your point, the job is not just to clean up the bureaucracy. The job is to keep us safe. And
But
you,
that's the point, though, Dan. Is that
well,
I
but hold on, but hold on, Sean. You're picking someone who's most well known for being on Fox News for the last 8 years. Doesn't mean that you're disqualified, but of all the places that you're going to do this, right? It is with two wars going on overseas, potentially a third with China. The world is very unsteady, as we heard about for 4 years now, or the whole campaign. If I were Democrats, of all the people who have been picked so far, I would train my fire that this guy is Margaret Spellings and he is not qualified to lead the Defense Department. I don't care how many undersecretaries.
You mean Harriet Miers, not Margaret
I mean
Spellings.
Harriet Miers. Sorry. I get my.
But I will say this,
okay.
with respect to the problem with Harriet Miers when she was chosen is the base wasn't with the president, right? That was the problem. It was the right flank that said no to her. This time, the right is with the president on this. And at the end of the day,
but the right isn't the majority of the country. The right of the base.
First of all, I mean, Pete ran Concerned Veterans for America, which is where I first met him back before he did. I mean, that's how he broke into Fox. It was running a veterans organization that demanded change in the VA. The bottom line, though, is with respect to your point, and I agree with you. But if our priority in the military has become DEI training and wokeness, not military readiness, then we aren't ready to take on China. And I think that that's the point is we need somebody who says, here's the threat, here's how we're going to address it. Not all the training about your feelings and wokeness. That's not where we need to be right now.
There are other people in the country. I'm just stating a fact. Nothing against Pete. There are other people in the country who could carry out the president's agenda.
I agree.
Pete. He's not the only one. So here's what I think. I think that there are going to be news stories about his life that will give excuses to senators, Republicans who want to vote against him. So if it's 53, right, they got to get 4 to stop him. If Democrats want to stop him, right? Because if it's 50-50, Vance confirms him. So let's assume Murkowski and Collins. And when I talk about confirmations, I always try to stay with the whip count because everything else is meaningless, right? So Murkowski and Collins could vote no just because they could, and they might want to set early on that they're not safe votes. So the question is, there are 2 other people. Okay, I have no idea. I've not done any reporting. Could Dan Sullivan vote against him? Good. Dan Sullivan could say he's not my conception of someone to run the building. Okay, there aren't very many. Go ahead.
So I would just say I think you're right, but here's what we saw a la Jeff Flake and I'm blanking on Nebraska, University of Florida, Ben Sasse. You're right. Could they do that? And then look at what the president did to Tester after he voted against Ronnie Jackson for VA, right? Yeah. I mean, so sure. But the second thing that I would point out, because I think, look, you brought up a really interesting point in the conversations that I've had with people who are thinking about confirmed positions as well as high profile positions in the White House, is that I've said to them, I just want you to understand something. If you think about something that you've done in your life that you don't want people to know or you're embarrassed about, then do not put your name forward and your family through what's about to happen. Because no matter how much you think you've hidden it, or, it's 20 years ago, the odds are pretty good that it's going to come out somehow, a la Brett Kavanaugh, et cetera. And my point is that the advice that I've given to folks is you think that you're better than the system, it will always get you. And I think that people think that somehow they're always the exception to the rule.
Correct. And Sean, there's another dynamic that adds on that's particular to the Trump world, which is what they think either explicitly or in the back of their mind is Trump survived way worse than I did. So if Trump can survive it, of course I can survive it, even if it comes out. And the reality is Trump is superhuman. He doesn't fall the way other people will. And I'm just telling you, when the journalism goes on this guy, there's going to be things that people will seize on. They may not kill his confirmation.
Well, but the point that I've made to folks, and this has happened to a couple individuals that I've spoken to in the past on this, is he may stick by you. And that's a whole separate issue. Are you willing to put your family through?
Correct.
Everything?
Correct.
He is Teflon for a reason.
But it doesn't matter if Trump sticks by you if you lose four Republicans.
Will your spouse stand by you?
Will your spouse stand by you? Will your kids? Will your business prospects, current employer, if you have to go back? All that's on the front end. But then on the back end is Trump says, I don't care. And you go rev up Steve Bannon and you rev up everybody else to say they're trying to destroy this good man. Don't let them. But then it just comes down to whether there are 4 Republican senators who will vote no or not. And we just don't know.